The phone lit up with another notification as I walked into my sister's kitchen. 6 hours after discovering the second family chat, my hands still trembled. I watched Emma laugh with our cousins in the living room, their voices carrying through the hallway as they planned tomorrow's Easter celebration, the one they'd decided I wasn't essential for. "You left your phone," I said, holding her unlocked device. The screen still showed the message thread labeled "Real Family Easter Plans, no Michelle." My sister's smile vanished. She jumped up, snatching the phone from my hand. "That's private," she hissed, her eyes darting toward our cousins. I clenched my jaw, saying nothing. The hand-painted Easter basket I'd brought, filled with the artisanal chocolates I'd spent weeks sourcing, sat abandoned on the counter behind me. I grabbed my purse, pulled out my debit card, and canceled the hotel reservation I'd made for all of us with 3 quick taps on my phone. Then I picked up my car keys. The doorbell rang. Their faces froze as the courier delivered the custom Easter wreaths I'd ordered for everyone's doors. I'd always been the family connector. When Mom died 5 years ago, I became the one who remembered birthdays, organized holidays, and kept everyone together. Our family had splintered after her death. Dad retreated into work, Emma buried herself in her new relationship, and our extended family drifted apart. So I stepped up. Every Easter, I coordinated our family gatherings, flying in from Raleigh to whoever was hosting that year. I sent gifts, planned activities, and created the festive atmosphere Mom would have wanted. I'd even started a family group chat called Connor Clan to keep everyone connected. "You're just like your mother," Aunt Patricia had said last Easter, always making sure the family stays together. I'd taken it as a compliment then. Now, standing in Emma's kitchen, watching her clutch her phone with its secret group chat, I wondered if they'd always seen me as overbearing rather than caring. "Michelle, what are you doing?" Emma asked, her voice low as our cousins Jessica and Tara whispered in the living room. "I just canceled the lakeside resort rooms I reserved for everyone," I said, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Since I'm apparently not part of the real Easter plans." Emma's eyes widened. "You weren't supposed to see that. It's not what you think." "Really? Because let's make sure Michelle doesn't find out seems pretty clear." I glanced toward the living room where our cousins were now watching us. "Were you going to tell me you'd move the Easter brunch to Saturday instead of Sunday? Or just let me show up to an empty house?" Jessica stepped forward, her practiced smile in place. "Michelle, we were going to tell you. We just thought since you're always so busy organizing everything, you might appreciate a break this year." I laughed, a short, sharp sound that made them all flinch. A break would be saying, "Hey Michelle, we've got this covered," not creating a separate chat to plan behind my back. Emma touched my arm. "It wasn't supposed to be a big deal. You just get so intense about holidays. We wanted to do something more casual this year." I shook her off. "Then you could have said that." Instead, I find messages laughing about how I won't know what to do with myself if I'm not in charge. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screenshot I'd taken. Or how about Tara's comment that you finally don't have to pretend to like Michelle's vegan Easter options? The silence in the room was absolute. The courier outside rang the doorbell again. I walked over and opened it, signing for the delivery of the handcrafted Easter wreaths I'd ordered months ago. "Your deliveries," I said, dropping the box on the coffee table. "Enjoy your real family Easter." I walked out, ignoring Emma calling my name. In my car, I sat for a moment, staring at the boxes of Easter decorations in my backseat, the personalized table settings, the hand-painted name cards, the specialty chocolates I'd ordered from that small-batch chocolatier in Vermont that Tara had once mentioned loving. I started the engine and drove away, leaving behind 8 years of trying to fill Mom's shoes. "They said what?" Ryan's voice crackled slightly over the phone. My boyfriend of 6 months sounded genuinely outraged, which sent a warm flicker through my chest. I was back in my hotel room, the one I'd kept for myself even as I canceled everyone else's reservations. There were comments about my control issues and how they could finally relax without me there. I tried to keep my voice steady, but it caught on the last word. "That's bullshit," Ryan said. "You're the only reason they even see each other anymore. Your sister told me herself at New Year's how much she appreciates everything you do. Apparently not enough to include me in the actual plans." I stared at the bags of Easter gifts I'd brought, personalized items for each family member that had taken months to collect. I don't understand. If they didn't want me involved, why not just tell me? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Because then they'd lose all the work you do without having to feel guilty about it. This way they get the benefit of your planning and then can do what they actually want. His words hit hard because they made too much sense. How many times had I noticed Emma taking credit for my ideas? Or witnessed my cousins posting photos of family gatherings on social media with elaborate captions about family traditions I'd created, but without mentioning me. "What are you going to do?" Ryan asked. I glanced at the stack of childhood photo albums I'd brought to share at Easter brunch, another tradition I'd started after Mom died. Every year, I collected old family photos and created themed albums. "I think I'm going to show up tomorrow anyway," I said slowly. "But not the way they expect. Want me to drive down? I can be there by morning." I hesitated. Ryan and I had been dating for just 6 months after meeting at a graphic design conference. He'd never met my extended family, only Emma at a holiday party. "Yes," I said finally. "I think I'd like that." When the doorbell rang at Emma's house the next morning, I was standing on the porch with Ryan beside me. I'd dressed carefully, not in the pastel Easter outfit I'd planned, but in a sleek black dress that Mom had loved. My hair was styled differently, and I wore the statement necklace Ryan had given me for my birthday. Emma opened the door, her face shifting from confusion to alarm. "Michelle," I thought. "I mean, we tried calling you last night. After I left? How considerate." I smiled, the expression not reaching my eyes. "Aren't you going to invite us in? The Easter celebration is still happening, right?" Emma looked past me to Ryan, clearly thrown by his presence. "Of course, come in." We were just about to have brunch. The dining room was set with a mismatched collection of plates and napkins. My cousins Jessica and Tara sat with their husbands, while Aunt Patricia and Uncle Dave occupied the head of the table. Our father, who had flown in from Phoenix, looked uncomfortable in the corner. Everyone froze when I walked in with Ryan. "Michelle," Dad said, standing awkwardly. "We were worried when you didn't answer your phone." "I was busy," I replied, nodding toward Ryan. "Everyone, this is Ryan Peterson, my boyfriend. Ryan, this is the family you've heard so much about." The tension in the room was palpable. Emma had clearly told everyone about yesterday's confrontation. They'd probably spent the evening in their separate chat, deciding how to handle me if I showed up. "We saved you a seat," Tara said, gesturing to an empty chair that had obviously just been added to the table. There was no place setting. "Actually," I said, placing the large portfolio bag I'd brought onto an empty side table. "I won't be staying long. I just came to drop something off." I unzipped the bag and removed a sleek photo album bound in white leather. This year's Easter album. I've been working on it since January. Emma's face paled slightly. "Michelle, about yesterday." "No need to explain." I opened the album to the first page. I think this speaks for itself. I placed the album on the table and stepped back, watching as they leaned forward to see. The first page showed screenshots, dozens of them, carefully arranged and annotated with dates, from the secret family chat they'd excluded me from. "Keep going," I said as Jessica looked up, her mouth open. It gets better. The next pages contained more screenshots, posts they'd made on social media taking credit for the family gatherings I'd organized. There were side-by-side comparisons, Emma describing her Easter egg decorating tradition in a Facebook post beside text messages from me suggesting the activity and buying the supplies. Tara's Instagram post about the family recipe Easter bread that I'd actually researched and baked while she took photos. "This is all a bit dramatic, don't you think?" Aunt Patricia said, though her voice lacked conviction. I turned to the middle of the album where I'd placed the financial receipts, every holiday expense I'd covered over the past 5 years. The resort bookings, the specialty foods, the custom gifts, all meticulously documented with highlighted totals. $14,627, I said. That's what I've spent on family gatherings since Mom died, not including travel costs or the value of my time. Dad looked stricken. Michelle, we had no idea. That was my choice, I interrupted. I never expected repayment, but I did expect honesty. I flipped to the final section of the album. This part contained something they hadn't seen yet, screenshots from a different chat group I'd discovered on Emma's phone. One created 3 years ago, shortly after I'd started the main family chat. This one, labeled simply "Without Control Freak," contained years of mockery. My earnest attempts to create traditions. My suggestions for gatherings. My grief over Mom, which apparently I'd dragged out too long. The room was silent as they looked at the evidence. Ryan stood beside me, his hand a reassuring presence on my lower back. I made copies, I said mildly. This one's for the family to share. I thought you might want to look through it while you enjoy your real Easter celebration. Emma stood, tears in her eyes. Michelle, we were wrong. I was wrong. Please don't leave like this. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw not the confident woman she projected to the world, but the scared girl who'd clung to me at Mom's funeral. The one who'd called me sobbing at 2 a.m. when she'd broken up with her first serious boyfriend. The one I'd always protected and supported. I'm not leaving forever, I said, my voice softening slightly. But I am stepping back. No more organizing. No more spending thousands on gatherings. No more trying to be Mom. We never asked you to be Mom, Emma said. No. You just expected it. I reached into my bag and pulled out a smaller album. This one's for Dad. It's what I originally made for today before I found the chat. It's photos of Mom at every Easter when we were growing up. Dad took it, his hands trembling slightly. I have to go, I said. I've made brunch reservations for Ryan and me. As we turned to leave, Jessica called out, "Will you be at the 4th of July gathering?" I'm supposed to host this year. I looked back at my cousin, noting the genuine concern on her face. I don't know yet, but if I come, it will be as a guest, not the organizer. Outside, Ryan squeezed my hand. You okay? I took a deep breath of spring air. For the first time in years, I wasn't checking my phone for family messages or mentally running through holiday checklists. Actually, I said, surprised at the realization. I think I am. The first text came 3 hours later, while Ryan and I were exploring a local Easter festival downtown. It was from Emma. I'm so sorry. We were thoughtless and cruel. The family isn't the same without you. I didn't reply. The second came from Jessica. I never thanked you properly for everything you've done. I'm embarrassed by what you found. Please give us a chance to make it right. The third was from my father. The album of your mother is beautiful. I miss her every day. And I've missed seeing the daughter who's been right in front of me. Can we talk tomorrow before my flight? I showed the messages to Ryan as we sat on a park bench, watching children hunt for Easter eggs on the public lawn. Are you going to respond? He asked. I considered it. Not today. Today is for me. He nodded, understanding. What about tomorrow? I watched a little girl in a yellow dress find a colorful egg hidden in the grass. Her face lit up with genuine delight as she showed her parents. Tomorrow I'll talk to Dad, I said finally. And maybe Emma. But things will be different now. Different how? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. I'm not carrying the whole family anymore. I've been so busy trying to be what Mom was to everyone that I forgot to figure out who I am. Ryan leaned over and kissed me gently. I like who you are. The real Michelle, not the family event coordinator. My phone pinged again with yet another message, but I ignored it, turning instead to the man beside me who saw me clearly without expecting anything in return. Tell me about your family Easters growing up, I said. What traditions did you have? As Ryan talked about his childhood in Minnesota, I realized I was listening, really listening, without mentally comparing his traditions to ours or thinking about how to incorporate them into next year's gathering. I was simply present, enjoying the moment and the company. For the first time in 5 years, I wasn't responsible for anyone's Easter happiness, but my own. And it felt like resurrection. The Monday after Easter, I sat in my Raleigh apartment looking at the email I'd drafted to my family. Ryan had driven back yesterday, and I'd spent the evening alone, sorting through the emotions of the weekend. My phone rang. Dad calling from the airport before his flight back to Phoenix. Michelle, he said when I answered. I've been thinking about what happened. What I allowed to happen. It's okay. Dad, I said automatically, then caught myself. Actually, no. It wasn't okay. But I understand how we got here. He was quiet for a moment. After your mother died, you stepped up in ways I never acknowledged. I let you become the glue for this family because it was easier than dealing with my own grief. His honesty surprised me. I wanted to keep her memory alive, I admitted. I thought if I could just maintain her traditions, it would be like she was still with us in some way. I know, but it wasn't fair to you. He cleared his throat. I'm selling the Phoenix house. I'm thinking of moving back east, maybe to Charleston. It would put me closer to you girls. The news stunned me. Dad had fled to Arizona almost immediately after Mom's funeral, taking a transfer with his company that separated him from all the memories. What brought this on? I asked. That album you made. Seeing your mother's face at all those Easters. His voice grew rough. I've been running for 5 years. Maybe it's time I stopped. After we hung up, I returned to my draft email. I deleted most of what I'd written and started fresh. To my family, this weekend was difficult for all of us, but perhaps necessary. I've spent 5 years trying to keep Mom's memory alive by maintaining her role in the family. That wasn't healthy for me or fair to you. I'm stepping back from organizing family gatherings, but not from being part of the family. I'd like to attend future events as just Michelle, not as a coordinator or bankroller or keeper of traditions. If anyone wants to host 4th of July, I'd be happy to attend as a guest. With love, Michelle, I hit send, then closed my laptop. On my coffee table sat the small locked box I'd brought back from Emma's house, the one containing Mom's handwritten recipe cards that I'd kept when we cleaned out her kitchen. Next to it was a scrapbook of family photos I'd never completed. For years, I'd appointed myself the family memory keeper, the tradition maintainer, the connection forcer. It had been exhausting. I picked up the recipe box, opened it, and selected a card at random, Mom's Easter bread recipe. The one Tara had claimed as a secret family recipe passed down through generations in her Instagram post. I'd been so angry about that. Now, running my finger over Mom's handwriting, I realized something. The recipe wasn't important because it was secret or impressive. It was important because it was Mom's. I placed the recipe card on my kitchen counter. Next weekend, I would make the bread just for myself. Not to share on social media or impress anyone. Just to remember. My phone pinged with an email notification. It was from Emma. I'd like to host 4th of July this year. Not as fancy as you would do it, but from the heart. Would you help me figure out where to start? I smiled, typing back, I'd be happy to give advice, but you should make it your own. Start by deciding what matters to you about the holiday, not what Mom would have done. It wasn't forgiveness, not quite yet, but it was a beginning. I looked around my apartment, at the craft supplies I'd collected for family projects, the storage bins of holiday decorations, the folders of family gathering ideas. For 5 years, I'd been living as if my only value was in maintaining family connections. It was time to find out who Michelle Connor was when she wasn't trying to be her mother. I picked up my sketchbook, the one I used for my graphic design work, and began drawing. Not a family gathering plan or a holiday decoration. Just whatever came to mind. for no one but myself. It felt like freedom. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever discovered a secret group chat you were excluded from? How did you handle it? I'm still processing what happened with my family. Was I right to confront them with evidence, or should I have just quietly stepped back? And has anyone else found themselves trying to fill a departed loved one's role in the family, only to realize you've lost yourself in the process? I'd love to hear your stories or advice. Is creating boundaries with family worth the initial pain? How did you rebuild relationships afterward? Share your experiences. 2 weeks before my move, I returned to the flower shop for my final shifts. I'd missed this place, the heady scent of roses and lilies, the peaceful routine of arranging blooms, the regulars who came in for their weekly bouquets. I was in the back room, sorting through a shipment of fresh peonies, when I heard the bell above the door. "I'll be right out," I called. "Take your time," came a familiar voice. "Daniel." I froze, then slowly walked to the front. He stood by the counter, looking more put together than he had at the coffee shop. He held a small gift bag. "What are you doing here?" I asked coldly. "I signed the papers," he said. "I just dropped them off with your lawyer." He hesitated. "I also brought you something." He placed the gift bag on the counter. "I don't want anything from you." "It's nothing fancy," he said. "Just something I think you should have." Against my better judgment, I looked inside the bag. It contained a small notebook, one I recognized instantly. My wedding planner, filled with my handwritten notes, fabric swatches, flower choices. "Why would I want this?" I asked, pushing it away. "Look inside," he urged. "The back pages." I reluctantly took out the planner and flipped to the back. There, in the notes section, was a list in my handwriting, future dreams. It detailed everything I wanted after marriage, travel destinations, career goals, the house with a garden where I would grow my own flowers, even names for the children I hope to have. "You're giving this back to remind me of what I've lost?" I asked incredulously. "I'm giving it back because these are still your dreams," Daniel said quietly. "And now you can pursue them without me holding you back." I stared at him, genuinely surprised. Is this supposed to be some kind of apology? No. An apology would be meaningless at this point. He shrugged. "It's more like permission. Not that you need it from me, but sometimes we need to hear it. You're free to want what you've always wanted, to be who you've always been." The bell jingled again, and Lisa appeared, stopping short when she saw Daniel. "Everything okay?" "Fine," I assured her. He was just leaving. Daniel nodded at Lisa, then turned back to me. "Good luck in Denver, Katie." "I mean that." After he left, Lisa raised an eyebrow. "What was that about?" "Closure, I think." I looked down at the planner, at my list of dreams. Or maybe a beginning. 1 week before my move, I sat alone in my half-empty house, surrounded by boxes. The compass Judith had given me rested on the mantel, catching the evening light. My phone chimed with a text from Emily. "I have something important to tell you. Please call me." I'd ignored dozens of similar messages, but something about this one made me pause. Important how? Had something happened? Despite everything, she was still my sister. I called her. Thank God, she answered immediately. "I need to see you." "Can I come over?" "I'm packing," I hedged. "Please, Katie." "It's about Daniel." And Megan. 20 minutes later, Emily arrived clutching a manila envelope similar to the one Jacob had given me. Her face was pale, her hands shaking slightly. "What is it?" I asked, letting her in. She sat on my couch, the only furniture remaining in the living room. "After you confronted me, I couldn't stop thinking about how I failed you. So I hired Jacob Murphy to look deeper into Daniel's relationship with Megan." "Why?" "The divorce is happening. I'm moving on. Because I owed you the full truth." She pushed the envelope toward me. "Daniel didn't just cheat on you with Megan. He's been lying about everything." With a sense of dread, I opened the envelope. Inside were more photos, bank statements, and a paternity test. "The baby isn't his, Emily said quietly. Megan was already pregnant when they got together. She needed financial stability, and Daniel, well, he saw an opportunity. An opportunity for what? I asked, bewildered. Money. Your money, specifically. Emily pointed to the bank statements. Jacob traced the funds. Daniel has been systematically draining your joint accounts for years, moving money through shell companies, making risky investments. He lost almost everything. The only thing he couldn't touch was your inheritance. I stared at her, but I gave him that inheritance for our house. And he immediately took out a second mortgage against it to fund his Columbus life with Megan. Emily's voice hardened. He's a con man, Katie. He targeted you because you inherited money from Grandpa, and he's been bleeding you dry ever since. The room seemed to spin. I grabbed the edge of the couch to steady myself. That can't be right. We were happy. He loved me. I'm sure parts of it were real, Emily said gently. But Jacob found a pattern. Before you, there was another woman with a trust fund. Before her, a widow with life insurance money. Stop, I whispered. Please stop. Emily moved to sit beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. I'm so sorry. I know this is a lot, but I needed you to know before you left. Your lawyer can use this evidence to void the divorce settlement, to go after him for fraud. I don't want to go after him, I said, feeling suddenly exhausted. I just want him gone. I understand, but he shouldn't get away with this. Her grip on my shoulder tightened. He shouldn't be able to do this to someone else. The compass on the mantel caught my eye again, its needle pointing steadily north. Judith had known, perhaps not the full extent of her son's deception, but enough to recognize the pattern, to try to spare me further pain. Did Judith know about this? I asked. Some of it, Emily confirmed. That's why she hired Jacob in the first place. She suspected Daniel was using you financially but couldn't prove it until she discovered Megan. I leaned back against the couch, absorbing this final betrayal. Everything had been a lie, and not just his fidelity, but his love, his character, our entire relationship. I should have felt devastated, but instead, a strange calm settled over me. Thank you for telling me, I said finally. Emily looked surprised. You're not angry. I'm too tired to be angry anymore. I squeezed her hand. And no, I'm not angry at you either. Not anymore. Really? Hope bloomed in her eyes. You were trying to protect me, in your misguided way. I managed a small smile. And now you're still trying to protect me. That's what sisters do, right? She hugged me fiercely. I was so afraid I'd lost you. Never, I promised, hugging her back. Family is family. The real kind. My last day in Denver dawned clear and bright. Emily had flown out to help me settle in, and together we unpacked my meager belongings in the apartment I would share with Lisa. The botanical gardens had already sent over a welcome basket filled with seed packets and gardening tools, a new beginning, literally and figuratively. I think that's the last box, Emily said, collapsing onto my new sofa. Who knew you had so much stuff for someone who claimed to be downsizing? I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. Most of it's books and flower-related supplies. You know me. My phone rang, Judith's number. I had kept in touch with her throughout the divorce proceedings, finding unexpected comfort in her blunt honesty and practical advice. Hello. It's done, she said without preamble. The fraud charges have been filed. Daniel won't contest them. I've made sure of that. How? I asked, though I suspected I knew the answer. Let's just say I reminded him that mothers know where all the bodies are buried. Her voice softened slightly. How's Denver? Beautiful. Different. Exactly what I needed. Good. I could hear the smile in her voice. Have you used the compass yet? I glanced at my bedside table, where the silver compass now resided. Every day. It always points me in the right direction. As it should. She paused. You know, I never had a daughter. I always wanted one. The implication hung in the air between us. Well, I said carefully, Denver has excellent air connections to Denver. I'll book a flight for next month, she said promptly. I want to see these famous gardens you'll be working in. After we hung up, Emily raised an eyebrow. Did you just invite your ex-mother-in-law to visit? She's not really my ex-anything, I replied. She's just Judith. My friend. Emily shook her head in amazement. Only you could find family in the wreckage of your marriage. Speaking of family, I said, Mom and Dad want to visit for Thanksgiving. I told them we could make it work if they're willing to sleep on an air mattress. We? Emily looked hopeful. You're welcome anytime, I assured her. This is still your sister's home, no matter where I live. Later that evening, after Emily left for her hotel, I sat on my small balcony watching the sunset paint the distant mountains gold and pink. My potted plants, the beginnings of the garden I'd always wanted, surrounded me like old friends. Tomorrow, I would start my new job, meet new people, create a new life. I pulled out the compass, watching its needles swing unerringly north. Then I took out my old wedding planner, flipping to my list of dreams. With a pen, I checked off the first item, find a place that feels like mine. Denver wasn't the life I had planned. It wasn't the future I had carefully mapped out with Daniel. It was something entirely different, something entirely mine. My terms, my choices, my adventure. I added a new item to the bottom of the list, learned to trust my own direction. Then I checked it off too. I've been in Denver for 6 months now. The Botanical Gardens promoted me to head of wedding arrangements after my wildflower arch design was featured in Colorado Bride magazine. Lisa and I have settled into a comfortable routine in our apartment, though she's talking about moving in with her new boyfriend soon. I'll miss her, but I'm surprisingly okay with the idea of living alone. Daniel's fraud case ended with a plea deal. He'll pay restitution, but avoid jail time. Megan gave birth to a healthy baby girl and moved back to her hometown in Ohio. Judith sends me updates occasionally, not to hurt me, but because she believes in facing reality head-on. I appreciate her honesty more than I can express. My parents have visited twice, gradually accepting that Denver is my home now. Emily comes every other month, helping me explore hiking trails and local farmers markets. Slowly, we've rebuilt our relationship, stronger for having been tested. Yesterday, I planted the first flowers in my community garden plot. Seeds from my grandmother's garden that my mother saved for me. As I patted the soil around them, I realized something profound. I'm happy. Not the fragile, performative happiness I maintained in my marriage, but something solid and real that comes from within. The compass sits on my windowsill now, catching the morning light. I don't need it to find my way anymore, but I keep it as a reminder. Sometimes the darkest moments lead us exactly where we need to go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to completely restart your life? Did betrayal ever lead you to something better? I never expected to find myself at 30, building a life I never planned, but now I can't imagine any other path. Would you have moved across the country or tried to rebuild where you were? Would you have forgiven your sister's silence? I'm still navigating this new chapter day by day, but I'm curious. What would you have done in my shoes?